Welcome to the Muddied Waters of Freedom with your hosts, Matt Wright and Mohammed Shaker.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Mohammed, I made him show up early today. Shaker, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom. First and foremost, let us thank our good friends at Low Tide Kava Bar for the kava we are going to be drinking during the show today. I would thank Justin, but I didn't see him while I was there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Nick was there. I just grabbed it and ran because I didn't want to be late.
Yeah.
Since I was like, you can't be late today. Bula.
Bull?
Breakfast of Champions.
That's right. So how was your week?
I had a good week. Yeah, I had a good week. I went to go see the movie about the famous Jewish superhero Spiderman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spiderman Bar Mitzvah. It was good.
Good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the crap out of that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was Sean, who owns Low Tide. It was his birthday, so we went there, and then we went to Grassroots after that, and hung out for a little bit.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a good time.
It's good. It's good.
How about you?
I've consumed 4 seasons of Voyager in the last 4 days. So it's pretty enjoyable.
How many episodes are in a season?
24.
Wow.
Well, not the whole 4 seasons.
was
Maybe
like-
it was like 5 days.
I was like, have you been sleeping at
No,
all?
of course I have. Yeah, of course I have. Yeah, so maybe like the last 7 days I've consumed 4 seasons, which is still like a lot.
Yeah. I did that when I was getting ready to move to Chicago, which I ended up never doing. I was going to move in with a friend of mine, and she said, you just have to know we're going to be watching Lost together. And I said, okay. And she goes, have you ever seen it? And I said, no. She goes, well, you better catch up. So I started watching it like 2 months before I was going to leave because I was like, oh, yeah, 2 months. That's enough time to watch 5 seasons of something. I had never really binged watch anything before.
Yeah.
And this was back in my drinking days. So I got to season 3, I think. It was season 3 or season 4. I don't remember which one. And I took the day off of work, and I set myself up with a huge bottle of water here, a case of beer here, and I was watching on Netflix on my computer, but my computer was really old. So I had my laptop and my computer, and I would watch 2 episodes on my computer, and then the computer would start slowing down, so I'd start watching it on my laptop, and I would just swivel my chair. And then when the laptop started acting slow, I would swivel my chair back, turn the computer back on, and watch 2 episodes here. And I did that for 24 episodes. My roommate woke up, saw me, he was like, hey, I'm going to work. He came back, I was sitting in the exact same spot, and he was like, have you moved? I said, I went to the bathroom like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, you have a problem. I was like, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I watched an entire season of Lost in one day.
Yep. Yeah.
And that was insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I hate that show.
I love that show.
Such a big letdown.
I'm not going to disagree there, but up until that, it was such a great show.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it up until the last maybe season or 2, and then really until the last maybe few episodes, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Although
it could have been so much more.
when they wrote off my favorite character, I was almost out. I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
You cannot have this show without him in it.
Yeah.
That was so sad.
Yeah, so I've been catching up on Voyager. Hadn't seen it in a very long time, and it feels like I'm watching it for the first time ever. So that's been pretty enjoyable.
So it'd be like if I were watching it
Yep. Yeah.
for the first time ever.
Yeah. 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 Star Trek's cool, man. A lot of awesome messages and ideas being discussed in there. One of the one of the episodes I saw maybe a day ago has to do with free speech, which we will be talking about.
Nice.
Um,
That's weird for a socialist government to believe in free speech.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was the issue.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
yeah, I should apologize to you for having you come over early, since we normally do this at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and we're doing it today at 12:30.
No, that's fine.
And to all of our people who are normally, all of the members of the Vanguard who are normally watching us at
Yeah.
middle of the afternoon, I am actually leaving after this to go down south for the grand opening of Shell's Kava Bar, who you may remember donated our kava. Well, my kava.
Mhm.
You didn't have any that night.
Yeah.
My kava a couple of weeks ago when I went on that rant about Lighthouse Point.
I think I did, right? Isn't
No, you had kratom that night. You didn't have kava.
Oh, okay.
I was wearing the Shell shirt. And
Oh, that's right. I
yeah,
remember.
and then I was just like, "Thanks, Shell's Kava Bar, for the kava that we're." And you said, "I don't have any." I was
Yeah.
like, "Oops."
Yeah. Yep.
I was on a mission that night. I just wanted to get all of that out.
Mhm.
So I'm going down to their grand opening tonight, and with a couple of the people from Low Tide and one of the people from Grassroots. So it's gonna be a good time. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we just had to get out of here. We're trying to leave by 2:30 or 3. So I was like, okay, well, I need Muhammad to be at my house by 12:30.
How far is the drive?
It's like 3.5, 4 hours.
Mm.
So
That sounds fun.
yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Gonna be a good time. So
So
should we just get right into it?
yeah, we can get right into it.
Okay. Well, on the 4th of July,
Yeah.
a very inebriated woman posted a video or a picture, I can't remember which one it was, of herself urinating on the American flag.
Mhm.
And she's been grabbing a lot of flack for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody threatened her life or something. Well,
yeah.
I'm sure people.
Well,
did.
there was a Craigslist post for a $3,000 bounty
Goddamn.
to kill her.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't to kill her, but to injure her or something. I don't know. I
That's
didn't
not a
actually
lot of
see-
money for.
Right, I'm not
Yeah.
killing somebody for $3,000.
Yeah.
Like, my family better be set if
Yeah.
I'm going to be shooting somebody. But yeah, so a lot of people have been saying, "Oh yeah, she should be thrown in jail, or she should be injured, or murdered, or whatever."
Mhm.
And you have the other people on the issue who are saying that this is a free speech issue and not anything else.
Yeah.
I personally tend to agree with this is a free speech issue.
Definitely.
Right. And you get the people mainly on the right, who sit there and they go, "Do you know how many soldiers died for that flag?" And my answer to them is always, none. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
They have died for America. They've died for their ideals. They have died for their beliefs. They have died for their country, but they have not died for a cloth that odds are was made in China.
Yeah. 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 I always I hear that pretty often, and a lot of veterans always get caught up in the colors thing because we salute the colors and we wear the colors. But yeah, we don't have a lot of we don't really, I wouldn't say we have a lot of soldiers that died for the flag, and even if they did, I think they'd be okay with people pissing on the flag, because supposedly what a lot of these people are saying is the reason it's disrespectful to piss on the flag or desecrate the flag is it's pissing on the ideals that flag supposedly stands for, which brings us with the issue of different symbols can mean different things to different people. So it's really short-sighted or very small-minded to say that the soldiers died for the flag when that's not true. We we swear to protect the Constitution from foreign and domestic enemies of the United States and to uphold the Constitution, and that's really all that matters. The rest of it is a non sequitur. Whatchamacallit, excuse me. So speaking of that one episode I was watching, wasn't really about symbol free speech. It was more about ideas, which I guess free speech is an idea, whether we actually allow it or not. It was an episode about, and I don't remember their name. It was like a really old species of humanoids, thousands, I guess, of years older than everybody, and they're all the way on the other side of the galaxy when the Starship Voyager ran into it, and these guys found the Voyager because they're basically descendants of dinosaurs. And this guy was trying to defend this distant origin theory that these aliens were not originally from the Delta Quadrant, that they're basically immigrants. And he was trying to find humans to prove that, and by like doing DNA tests and explaining the story and all this other stuff. And he ended up getting shut down by his government for trying to spread this idea. And the whole show, the whole premise of the episode was, is it okay to legislate speech that is offensive? Because a lot of those people in that episode found it offensive that they would be immigrants from a far distant planet rather than already being there and being as awesome as they are. And the same idea applies, here, where is it okay to allow the desecration of nationalist symbols, and you can even throw in there religious symbols like drawing the Prophet Muhammad
I draw you on
fornicating a goat. Huh?
I actually draw that picture of you all the time.
Yeah, as long as you get the nose right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest part.
Yeah. But that's the whole issue here when it comes to free speech. Every single time ever it comes up, it's all about, is it okay to communicate about ideas that we find intolerable? Is it okay to talk about women rights, women's suffrage? Is it okay to talk about slavery being making slavery illegal and freeing slaves? Is that an okay idea when slavery had been a normal, everyday imperial punishment since the times of the ancient Egyptians, probably, maybe even longer before that? Is it okay to talk about your own racist supremacy? So on and so forth, like so many things. And a lot of people like myself that would consider themselves, and you that would consider ourselves free speech absolutists, would argue that any and all speech should be allowed without being
Without fear of persecution.
From the government.
From the government.
Yeah.
Yeah. From your fellow citizen, you're probably going to get persecuted if you say something that's dickish.
Obviously that's fine. That's the whole point. If an idea is good on the marketplace, it'll win, it'll spread, more people will accept it, as long as the government isn't interfering with it. But we can do that through like pressure, societal pressure, but not obviously property harm. Like we can't, just because somebody has I have a Confederate flag, which a lot of people don't like the Confederate flag, no matter what doesn't matter what their political ideology is. A lot of people don't like that flag. But I have one. I like it, and there's a reason that I like it, and one of it is that it pisses people off. But
Wait, you like something because it pisses people off?
yeah,
That's so weird.
right?
That is so unlike you.
And that might be probably the most offensive thing that I own to people. I think. I don't know. I mean, I also have a United States flag, which pisses off some other
I was
people.
going to say that would piss off some people as well.
Yeah, and I have a Quran. I'm sure that pisses people off.
Right, but that's kind of understandable
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I have a Constitution, which I know pisses people off because a good portion of this country feels that the Constitution was a book written by old white men that don't care about anybody else except them and capitalism.
Right.
Supposedly, anyways, which is not completely true no matter how you look at it. There was more to it than they were white and they had slaves. But the whole Confederate flag thing, I look at it. It opened my eyes to when I saw the whole debate. I didn't even know or care. And then I was like, why do these people feel so strongly about this flag? And why do these people feel so strongly against the flag? And then I just started reading on my own about like the history of the War of Northern Aggression. and President Lincoln. And I think this all happened.
The president of the North.
The president. The president of the North, yes. And I started from my own research seeing that not a lot of things are known about the Civil War or the culture around the Civil War that time in the United States, and just different ideas that have to do with federalism, and I started questioning the regular narrative that most people, I guess, would go by, and then I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna buy a flag. I see nothing offensive about this thing, so and I like waving it around and wearing it. It's awesome. Pisses people off. Well, that's the whole point of free speech. Is we should be able to debate if it's actually like. Okay or not? It's the same thing, like all the other issues I just mentioned. If societies that at certain times throughout time, as cultures are progressing, if the majority is allowed to subdue the issue that a minority of some type wants to talk about, then we wouldn't be here today with a lot of the social progress that we've had when it comes to women, gays, Catholics, religion,
Minorities of any kind.
slavery. Yeah, anybody that would be considered some kind of minority wouldn't have the ability to talk about their case. Or wouldn't be free because they wouldn't have been able to talk about their case. But when it comes to, like we said, societal pressure, that's fine because that's the only way you should be pushing down an idea, is to make it ugly to be a nationalist socialist.
Right.
It has to be a nasty thing without the government even doing anything. It should be nasty for someone like me to be like, well, I'm a Nazi and blah, and like push my idea because it's nasty, which it is.
Right.
And that's really the only way to push these kind of ideas away, not through trying to stifle it.
Right. You can't silence it because that just pushes it underground.
Yeah.
And people will just do it in their own little groups.
There's another that episode I watched also sort of about this. And so like Voyager had visited a planet full of telepathic humanoids, basically, and they had eradicated violence in their society to the point that the idea of law enforcement was almost funny, and one of the lead law enforcement people was questioning the idea of police even existing anymore on their planet. So like something happened where you end up finding out in this episode that so they outlawed violent thought because they decided that just the thought of violence is the one that's going to lead to it, which then they started questioning, well, how do people like live their lives like this that aren't telepathic, and they're able to suppress their violent tendencies that even you and I have. Like, we have violent tendencies that we don't act out on.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never had a violent thought in the last 24 hours. Wait, hang on, let me redo that math.
Yeah.
In the last hour, I haven't had a violent thought.
Yeah, we have violent thoughts just throughout life. Like, we're like, fuck that guy, and you get real mad. And so they find out that the two humanoids, not part of the Voyager team or crew, they had been talking for a few days, and they noticed that B'Elanna, she's the engineer, and she's half Klingon. I don't know if you know anything about Star Trek.
I know Klingons are the bad guys.
Well, they're not bad, but their culture is like. So in the Star Trek universe, they're modeled around samurais and like that samurai culture, but they're also very.
Worf was a Klingon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically my knowledge on Klingons right there.
I think that's for everybody.
They got the big forehead.
Yeah. I think Next Generation is probably the longest.
They look like Shane Battier.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the longest running show. So that I think it's the one that most people have watched as well. So I think everybody knows Worf because of that. And most of the Star Trek movies before the last two or three now. Are they at three movies now?
Three now.
Yeah, before those, they were all about the Enterprise. Picard's Enterprise. So that's probably why a lot of people know Worf. But yeah, they're violent, but they're able to subdue it, And there's the Vulcans that have they completely subdue all of their emotions.
Except in the new movies.
Well.
Where he embraces them.
Oh, does he? I have only seen the first one.
Oh no! In the second one, Spock gets super angry.
Oh well, it happened. No, it happens.
And he embraces the emotion and kicks the ever living crap out of Khan.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. No.
Later.
I'll tell you that even though we're not doing, this is not really any political conversation.
I was going to say we're completely off of everything right now.
Yeah.
Just talking about Star Trek, which I know very little about.
Yeah. No, a lot of Star Trek fans question, I don't remember what they call this new timeline. A lot of people even question it being canon because it just really messes up Star Trek. These movies really mess up the whole timeline, the canon, and even the original series,
He resets everything in it.
That's I hear that, yeah.
He reset everything, and the way that they did it was brilliant because it's like everything that happened before is still canon, and they just went back in time and restarted everything. So it's like two different timelines, but both are actually happening. So it's weird.
Which I guess makes sense for Star Trek because they embrace the whole parallel.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a whole separate universe.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, oh, that's a great way to do this.
Yeah.
That was brilliant to do it that way. Nice job, JJ.
That's how it's basically how, it's a really big issue also in the Elder Scrolls. Because the Elder Scrolls Online, which is a big MMO for the Elder Scrolls, deviates from a lot of the from like the first Elder Scroll to Skyrim 5, the lore is kind of messed up, but they take and Bethesda, the developers, they take advantage of something called dragon breaks, which is like basically a time fracture to explain things that happen and don't happen at the same time because it can, sort of thing. But going back to the topic, this lady was exposed to the whole, well, Vulcans are doing this, humans this, Klingons are this, and B'Elanna's half a Klingon and half human. And there's a big underground market. They basically wanted her to have that thought. They had a guy bump into her, and she like wanted to kill him inside her head, but she didn't, because she realized, like, well, yeah, it was an accident. But this guy ended up right away basically beating the crap out of somebody else. And then the next day in the show, while they were trying to figure out what's going on, somebody died, which like I said, hasn't had it happen on that planet. And then they found out that thought of hers was being shared around because they're telepath. And then what they ended up finding out is there's a big underground market on that planet of violent thoughts. So different people like trade huge sums of money to experience these thoughts that they're not allowed to experience on their planet. So pushing, like you were saying, outlawing an idea is going to push it further underground and maybe even garner more.
It'll only strengthen it because it'll be in the smaller groups.
Yeah, well, it might also garner more whatchamacallit, like interest and people wanting to know,
right?
Because it's the forbidden fruit theory on everything. If I can't do it, why?
Right. If I can't smoke weed, I want to try it. If I'm not allowed to drink, I want to drink.
Yeah, and if I can't talk about this, I want to.
Of course, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's the think about anything but a pink elephant.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So all you think about is the pink elephant.
Right. You can only think about the pink elephant.
Yeah. So we should allow people to talk about whatever they want. So it can be debated, and we can see if it's a good idea or not. And if it's not, we will know that it's not a good idea, and that'll be it. And we won't have to worry about it. An idea just going crazy around the world that because we're saying don't talk about it.
Right.
Like I said, like being a Nazi is not an okay thing, and there's no question on that. It's especially because not the economic ideas per se, not the nationalist itself ideas per se, but a lot of the racial undertones in Nazism are what makes it ugly.
And that's what the biggest, like, you see all this stuff happening on college campuses where they're like, okay, free speech zones, which you and I both think is bullshit, because all of America should be a free speech zone. Like, in my house, maybe not. In your house, maybe not. Yeah. But outside of that, yeah, it's a free speech zone.
Well, outside private property, yeah.
Right. You want to go on my sidewalk and say whatever you want? I don't care. You may get in trouble by somebody else, but whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so on college campuses, there was that article about the teacher that they wanted to do like a no whites day at school, and the teacher was like, no, we can't do this, and that teacher was labeled a racist.
Yeah. Because
he was saying, no, we need to be inclusive of everybody. And personally, I would have said, instead of a no whites day, I would have said a no anybody day at school, so everybody had the day off.
And I don't know if it was the same professor I'm thinking of or not. The same professor, I think. Well, maybe it's a different professor, because a professor as well during, I'm sure a lot of this stuff happened during that time, just wanted to go to work, and it was a white professor, and it was also he or she was a very progressive person that understood and agreed with what this day was standing for, but he wanted to go to work, you know. So,
Greenpeace is currently knocking on our door.
let's not.
Let's not answer that.
Yeah, if you guys hear knocking, we're just gonna continue on with the show.
Right.
If you like Greenpeace, go to their website and donate.
If you don't like Greenpeace,
if you don't go to Greenpeace. We're not gonna cancel the show or pause it.
Right. We could bring her on.
Yeah. Let's not embarrass her. So we're just gonna not answer her. Hopefully, she looks through a window that we have plenty of around us.
She already looked through and saw us.
Oh.
She made direct eye contact with me.
Well, continuing on.
Yes, continuing on. So
Speech.
right, back to free speech.
Yeah.
For instance, she has the right to talk to me about whatever she wants to talk to me about.
Yes. Yeah.
But I also have the right to not listen.
Yeah.
And she's walking away.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. And you can like that you just ignored her right now,
Right.
which is good. It's it's good to be able to do that.
Personally, I think bringing her on would have been hilarious.
Yeah. I didn't know the format, and I don't think she probably would not have been okay with that, but I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
I am wearing this hat, so I don't know what she would have thought.
Right, with your Liberty Movement shirt on.
Yeah, so.
Right.
But anyways, yes.
I got completely thrown off.
You should be able to. Yeah, you should be able to say whatever you want without the government stopping you, but also understanding that private property rules and laws supersede anything. So within specific households, stores, whatever, you have to abide by the owner on what you're allowed to say, like not yelling out fire. And societal pressure is expected and a normal way of dealing with what's considered to be nasty ideas. So even if the flag is even if pissing on flags is considered a tasteless idea, it's fine for that idea to go around, whether we agree with even soldiers being having died for it or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do we as a culture or as a people and as individual think it's distasteful to piss on a flag? Most people might say yes, and some people might say, some people might even, like I know, especially libertarians, plenty of people disagree with a lot of the most recent wars, especially, and a lot of people disagree with nationalism and overt patriotism, but would never think about going out to piss on a flag or burn it because they think it's A, distasteful, and also B, doesn't do anything.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
CNN. That's really all we need to say on that one.
Yeah.
It's just CNN. CNN is just tanking in the ratings.
Yeah.
They are making mistake after mistake after mistake as a news media outlet.
Yep.
So was that this week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this week, President Trump tweeted out a video meme, a GIF meme.
Yeah.
Or GIF for those of you who like to
Prefer the wrong spelling.
Right, prefer the wrong pronunciation. Of him when he was on WWE and he body slammed somebody or cross-checked something, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody made a GIF and put CNN's face over whoever it was that he crossed on.
I think it was Vince McMahon.
Was it Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never watched WWE, so I didn't know who that was. I just saw CNN's logo over the face. And CNN said that this cited violence against the media.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, I don't believe that to be what that is. No. But then on top of it, CNN figured out who made the meme, got in contact with the guy, forced him to apologize, and then said if he makes any other memes that they were going to dox him. And I actually had to look that word up.
Yeah, doxing. Yeah.
Doxing, which means they will release all of his private information to everybody.
Yeah.
Which, coming from CNN, who likes their anonymous sources and, believes in people's privacy.
Exactly, yeah.
All that. That just is completely out of character for him.
Yeah.
So this entire thing has just gotten so out of control. And then it's come out that the meme that Donald Trump actually tweeted wasn't by the guy that they made apologize. And that somebody else basically just kind of ripped his meme off.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So they were threatening to dox the wrong guy.
Yep.
Which I would have been upset about. And one of the things, a little off topic, but one of the things that really upset me about it is so many people were stating, well, this guy is a middle-aged man who has posted hateful and racist things on his website before, and so he deserves this. And it's like, no.
Yeah, no, yes.
No, he doesn't. If that was a 15-year-old kid that made that, you wouldn't care, but you're doing the what's that argument fallacy? I can't remember which one it is, where even though if it was somebody else who was had done nothing wrong, you wouldn't care, and you'd be like, oh no, that's wrong. But because he has posted racist and hateful things on his website before, you're like, oh no, it's fine. You should be allowed to do that to him.
Yeah.
And no, you can't. If you're not going to be okay, if a 15-year-old kid made that meme and you're like, no, you can't release his private information. You can't release this guy's private information.
I definitely agree with that. But I think there's a few things here. I think so. Privacy is not a right. But yes, in the context of how they treated the situation, they would have been complete hypocrites. I think that's where they went wrong, is saying that because he issued an apology, we will not release his information.
But then they said, if he makes another meme,
we
reserve the right to release his information. And it's like, that's blackmail.
Exactly. And I don't know how. Well, I don't know. I guess that is what makes it not an okay thing. Because if they just let his information out and say this is the guy, that's fine. Even though it would be hypocritical, it is fine, because privacy is not guaranteed. It just isn't. It's I don't know. But anyways, moving on from that, they would be hypocrites if they went against that, and they're obviously being seen as hypocrites for that. But the thing is, the guy's age coming into question, because for a while we all thought it was a 15-year-old or something.
Yeah, I don't remember. I saw teenager a bunch of times, and then I saw, no, he's a middle-aged racist man who posted hateful and racist things on his website. So?
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't want to hang out with the guy, but I mean, that doesn't mean that CNN should be allowed to. That doesn't make it okay for CNN to release his information.
Yeah, and the only way they found out that he was posting all that stuff is because this whole thing happened to begin with. Before Trump tweeted that GIF out, nobody knew that this person had existed on Reddit forums, subreddits, posting what he posted at all. Nobody did. And now that we know that he was doing it, then obviously he should be punished by it. with my parents about like homosexuality, you know, because a lot of them, my parents, my parents and
A lot of your parents.
yeah, my parents and a lot of people who consider themselves against homosexual lifestyles or whatever. One of the things I would mention to them is, but you don't know that it's going on. Like, for the longest time, you never really talk about this. It's not an issue. It's not a problem that you worry about that scares you until something comes up about homosexuals. And then you want to start talking about how they're dangerous to society and so on and so forth. But when they're living their everyday life, they're not thinking about the numbers of gay people out there, you know, committing sin in their rooms, in their houses, in their bedrooms. You know, they're not thinking about it because they don't know what's going on. They're not seeing it. It's not in the public eye, and that's what happened with this guy. Like nobody knew what the hell this guy was doing. He was just being himself.
Right.
And
God, that apology was such crap.
yeah.
That apology was such crap. You could tell that was written by CNN.
Yep. Yeah.
He just signed it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that was the biggest load of crap.
Well, yeah, one of my favorite memes was then when they put his CNN's face on the guy in North Korea, you know, that was forced to apologize for
Yes.
the flag or whatever.
Right.
And ISIS.
Yeah, I saw it. And the number of CNN memes that came out this week in response to that were fantastic.
Yep.
They were awesome. God, they had that one with the scene from Rogue One where they had Trump's face over Darth Vader, and all of the rebel scum had like Huffington Post, CNN, Now This, like over him, and he's just tearing them all up. I was just like, this is amazing. This is absolutely incredible.
Yep.
But then 4chan, like after CNN blackmailed this guy and was like, hey, yeah, if he makes another meme, we reserve the right to release his private information. 4chan was like, So they went and they found out all the CNN reporters' personal information and started releasing it.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you can't do that. And it's like, what's the difference here? You threatened to do this to this guy. Why can't we do it to you? And as loyal listener Frank Eggett states, it's a double standard, and they think they're part of the elite.
Yeah.
Which is 100% true. Like,
yeah, that is true.
No, we think we live by a different set of rules than this guy should.
Mm-hmm.
And no, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, if you're threatening to do that to somebody else, somebody can and should do that to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, they were wrong. I think the biggest thing is they were hypocrites.
Absolutely.
And this guy probably, I'm going to say in my opinion, probably learned his lesson, I guess.
If I were him, I would make another meme.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't add it with the racist, hateful crap, but I would make another meme and put it out there.
Yeah.
Because you know that's going to get spread like wildfire.
Yeah, exactly. But there's not much else to say. They fucked up.
Right. But, I mean, the ratings are definitely showing it. They are tanking.
Mm-hmm.
They are tanking everywhere.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. I was looking at the ratings on it earlier this week, and from 6 months ago to today, like they were like number 1 or number 2 in different time slots, and now they're so far back. It's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely embarrassing what's happening at CNN.
Yeah. And
I'm enjoying the living crap out of it.
Yep.
It is so much fun.
yeah, which is, it kind of sucks because they were supposed to be the more in the middle news station between MSNBC and Fox, but they're really crapping on their own brand, and that's their fault.
It is.
You know, like how is MSNBC and how does MSNBC look better than CNN? And that's all CNN's fault.
Yeah, MSNBC used to be just like a joke.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's still like a super too progressive.
It is too progressive, but I mean,
but it's not as
far as the ratings went.
Yeah.
Like even a year ago, it was Fox News, CNN, kind of rotating number 1 and number 2, depending on which show. Megyn Kelly was number 1, Bill O'Reilly was number 1, and then I think CNN was kind of number 1 in most other things.
Yeah.
MSNBC was way down there, and now Rachel Maddow's number 1. Tucker Carlson's number 2, and then CNN is got like a 1.8 share or something. It's insane.
I question this country if people are watching Rachel Maddow that much. Holy crap.
I assume that after Rachel Maddow did the I have Trump's tax returns after that gaffe, that she would have just been bombarded. But no, she is still holding strong somehow.
Yep. Probably got a lot of topics to cry about.
There's always going to be topics for her to cry about.
All right.
Speaking of topics for her to cry about, President Trump and President Vlad met yesterday, and the big news that I have seen from that meeting is whose body language showed to be more dominant. I have read 5, 6, 7 articles on the body language that each president has put out. Even in an article where the headline said that U.S., Russia, and Jordan agreed to a ceasefire in southwestern Syria, they still talked about the body language of the presidents. And so when Trump met with Putin, he did the double handshake, which is supposed to display dominance. And so he did. Here, let me borrow your.
That's weird because I do that.
Yeah. The double handshake.
Oh, okay, that's not what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
So he does the double handshake, which is supposed to display dominance. And everybody's like, "Oh, that shows dominance over Putin." And then somebody pointed out that when he did that, Putin held up one finger and pointed at him. We're about to have a very special guest on the show.
Same guest from last time.
Same guest from last time. Everybody, welcome to Ken from Grassroots Kava House in downtown St. Pete. He'll be working the bar tonight, so go down and see him if you are in the St. Pete area. Or you can go see Tucker at low tide. He pointed at him, and people said that's like him pulling a gun to show his dominance.
Really?
Yeah. So they were talking about the different body language that they were showing, and some people were like, "Oh, Trump was very excited to be with President Putin."
Oh, probably.
Yeah. I'm not gonna.
I
don't really like
him.
the. Yeah, I don't really like the guy, but I'd be excited to meet him. I bet he is a fun dude. But he. But yeah, they were talking about. Oh yeah, he was really excited to see him, so that gave Putin the advantage. And then they're like, but in the handshake, Trump really showed his dominance. And I said, oh, but Putin pointed, so that showed his dominance. And I'm going.
They did the same thing when he met up with Trudeau.
Yeah.
I guess he did the more wrenching one.
Right, where he turned his hand over.
Yeah. But and then I guess the same conversation happened, and then they were talking about how Trudeau did other things back to him.
Right.
And I guess Trump does a pull thing when he also shakes.
Yeah, he pulls you back. He pulls you into him.
Yeah.
But I find it funny because, I'm coming up on my 4th decade being alive, and so many people right now are talking about the body language of Trump and Putin, or the body language of Trump and Trudeau or Merkel or whoever, and I don't remember this from any other presidency. I don't remember them going, well, George Bush, when he met with somebody. Yeah. I can't think of a world leader from 20 years ago. When he met with so-and-so that, his body language showed him to be...
Tony Blair.
Damn,
thank you. It took me a long time.
I know.
I was like...
When he met with Tony Blair... When he met with Tony Blair, he didn't show
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, like I don't remember that from before. I don't know why that is such a huge point of
It's probably-
conversation right
I mean, it's probably because he does all that. And I think all these body language things Trump does is probably because he does consider himself a pretty big and powerful person, and he's been for a long ass time, and we've treated him as that.
since at least the 80s,
No matter, yeah, like before
possibly
he,
the 70s.
yeah, before he was a politician. I mean,
I've known Donald Trump's name
yeah,
for all of my memory.
yeah, exactly. Everybody knew Donald Trump's name. Everybody. Doesn't matter what your political views are, and Home Alone 2, you know, like
Right.
all the different little things he had, The Apprentice, all his different products, whether they have failed or not, everybody knows his name. He is powerful, and we've given him that. That's why they talk about, like, Trump's brand is mainly his name, you
Yeah.
know, and how everybody knows him. And that's just,
Did you ever watch the show Quantum Leap?
no.
Okay, Quantum.
Sounds like something I need to, though.
You would like that show.
Yeah.
It's I forget the guy's name that stars in it right now, but it's about a guy who he jumps from body, like he will just inhabit somebody's body, like in different time periods throughout history, and he's got to change something in that person's life, and then he jumps to the next one, and his goal is trying to get back home, and he's got a friendly hologram sidekick named Al, who kind of guides him along the way. But there was one episode where he jumps into a body of a cab driver in the 60s, I think, 50s or 60s in New York. And he's driving somebody, and this kid's looking out the window, and he was like, this kid's looking out the window, and he's like staring up at something I can't remember, and the main character Sam is like he says one day there's going to be a huge tower here, and he describes Trump Tower. He's like, there's going to be a huge tower here with a lot of gold and a lot of lights, and lots of people are going to come and visit it. And the guy opens the bellhop, or what, the doorman opens the door to the cab, and he goes, "After you, Mr. Trump." And then the guy that gets out goes, "Come on, Donald." And it's Donald Trump that they're obviously doing. And it's
Yeah.
just like, that was in like 91.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like they were spoofing, like, and saying that, you know, Quantum Leap had a reason for Donald Trump building Trump Tower.
Yeah.
He also is the reason JFK got shot. But, you know, that's a different story. But, you know, like everybody knows Donald Trump. Like he has been that big of a personality forever. So he's not going to stop acting that way.
Yeah, and like I don't think he's not intentionally acting that way. That's how people of his stature might act. Not everybody on his level, but certain people. And he's, in my opinion, he has a disposition to act like that because he's a New Yorker, and like New Yorkers, especially New York businessmen, are like that, and that's how they talk and that's how they act.
Right.
You know, and that one, I read an article on it, and once I read it, I was like, holy crap. He's really no different than how a lot of people in New York really act anyways.
Right.
And that's when I started questioning my blind hatred for the guy. Like, still not a fan of him, but started thinking.
I still don't like him. I still don't think that he is good for the country.
Yeah.
But as far as like him as a person, I'd hang out with the guy.
Yeah.
I may disagree with him on a lot, but I'd hang out with him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let that stop me. But yeah, and all in all, like his body language, I don't think matters.
No.
The fact that meeting went way over time, so far over time that Melania had to come in and say, "Hey guys, you should probably go back to the meeting."
Yeah.
To the G20.
Yeah.
And you know, then at dinner they sat next to each other and were joking around.
Yeah.
But like that is more interesting to me. That what were they talking about in that meeting that entire time?
Yeah.
Probably the 2020 election, but
Right.
right. But
Well, yeah, there's a lot we can't cover on what they talked about. I'm assuming Syria. I'm assuming
Right.
the elections, because I did read a few articles on him trying to clear Russia's name to him.
did you hear what Trump said in Poland?
No.
In Poland, Trump was he was talking to people about the 2016 elections, and
Yeah.
he said there may have been intervention from other countries in our election,
Yeah.
but there's no way for us to know.
Yeah.
Nobody knows for sure, or something like that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And that was where it was like, okay, why would you say that out loud, man?
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot more we can say about this, but I do want to mention real quick a topic that's not written on here, because I know you saw it and I know you thought it was hilarious. New Jersey, Chris Christie.
Oh, the beach.
Oh my God,
We're gonna close
that
down
is
the beach.
That is government right
That
there.
is government.
Oh
right
my
there.
God.
We're closing down the public beaches because we're closing down all the government, so you can't go to the beaches.
Yeah.
But my family and I are gonna go to the beach and hang out.
And friends, actually. Like, I think it was family and friends.
I think it was family and
Yeah, and
friends.
there's the glorious picture of
Him sunbathing,
yes.
of Chris Christie sunbathing.
Oh my God, what a disgusting state. I've never liked New Jersey.
No.
No offense to my New Jersey friends, which I even have a few of them here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, with the exception of Jay,
Yeah.
Alyssa,
Yep.
and I think Justin Moldau is from...
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's from Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the Jersey people that I know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But I hate the Garden State. Oh my God. And this guy, man, how is he allowed to do that?
Yeah, that one's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and real quick, I wanted to talk about Imagine Vegan Cafe.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, you've got time.
Yeah. So the Imagine Vegan Cafe in Memphis.
Yep.
Obviously, they're a vegan restaurant, and they got triggered hardcore by a review. The person said, "I eat here all the time. I really like their food. So far, good review." But I was upset that they weren't watching their children who were running around the restaurant. Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Understandable. Like, okay, you're running a restaurant, hard to watch the kids. Probably shouldn't have them there, but still,
Yeah.
your kids.
Yeah.
But these kids, they were running around.
And it could add an atmosphere of some kind, like a lot of the coffee bars allow dogs.
Right.
And it adds an atmosphere of a
got-
dog-friendly atmosphere.
Right. But these kids were running around.
Supposedly, yes. Right?
It wasn't supposedly. They admitted it.
Oh, okay.
Were running around naked.
Yeah.
And one of the children was showing his butthole to anybody who was willing to look. And the review mentioned...
Sounds like a vegan paradise.
Right. And the review mentioned this, and said, "We won't go back because we don't want our dinner to be ruined by some little kid running up and showing us his butthole."
Yeah. Yeah.
To which, Imagine Vegan Cafe, instead of saying, "Oh, we understand,"
Mm-hmm.
outed the person who wrote the review and called them sick for looking at their child's butthole.
Yeah.
And mentioned their name and said that if anybody else wanted to say anything about their children, they would feel the wrath of Mama Bear. That status that they made got over something like 1 million comments.
Mm-hmm.
So it got such bad responses to it that they shut down their Facebook page.
Well, it makes sense.
It does.
That's capitalism at work.
That is capitalism at work. It's fantastic when capitalism works and people end up having to shut down their Facebook page in less than a day. Not that I'm talking from personal experience from yesterday.
Yeah.
That's a story for a different day. I'm not going to go into that, but that was a lot of fun for me. We just got somebody to shut down their page and possibly their entire business yesterday. It was so much fun. But he has more resources than me, so it's fine.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything about it.
I know. I'll explain it all.
And you know me, I don't take sides until I know all the facts, no matter who the person is.
That's true.
But
and that is the right way to be.
No, of course, I think so. But I mean, if X person isn't able to keep their business up because of social stuff like this, then I mean, I do question if they were serious to begin with or not, you know.
Right.
So, but there you go.
All right. Well, that is just about all the time we have for today. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
I would say, do you want a bula, but I just watched you finish your cava.
Yep.
So I'm going to bula because I was cava conservative.
Yeah.
And save some for the end because I wanted to make sure I had a surplus.
Yeah, I do need to start conserving.
Bula.
Bula.
If you're down in the Lauderhill area of Florida today, go and check out Shell's Cava Bar grand opening. You will be able to meet me and some of the other people from Low Tide and Grassroots and maybe some people from Mad Hatters and some other places. If you are in St. Pete area, swing by Gulfport to visit Low Tide or Grassroots or Muddy Water. I don't really have anything else. Oh, you know what? We did not plug anything today.
No?
So you can find us online at muddiedwatersoffreedom.com.
That's the most important thing.
That is the most important thing.
Because you'll find everything on there.
And you can also find our store where you can buy your very own Muddied Waters of Freedom t-shirt, which we have in sizes extra small to 3XL. Mm-hmm. So we have sizes that will even fit Muhammad.
Yeah, I was about to make a joke like I always do, and I was like, you know what, I'll hold off on that joke. I don't want to piss off any of my possible fans.
We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Muddied Waters of Freedom. You can follow us on Instagram at Muddied Waters of Freedom or on Twitter at Muddied_Waters. And if you don't know what an underscore is, that's the hyphen that's on the ground.
Yep.
All right.
And remember, guys, we're going.
We don't need roads.